Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Gareth James. Welcome back to MTT Poker School. Now today we're going to look at some pretty cool hands from the final table of the PokerStars Winter Series event number 37, the $530 Turbo, and answer the question, is high stakes crusher Lena900 really a NIT? Let's take a look at the first spot then. So Tonka opens up from middle position with ace-7 suited and Centaurus jams with pocket queens. So all pretty standard stuff so far. And then it folds to Vokas, who has a decision to make with the pocket jacks. So let's take a look in HRC to see what we think Centaurus is jamming and then what Vokas should be calling off here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to work out what Tonka is opening here, and this is the range that I gave him, so around 16%. Obviously, only Tonka is going to be able to tell you what his opening range is in this spot, but I think this is a pretty good guess as to what he's opening here. So let's see what HRC thinks Centaurus is jamming here. So I'll just double click on here. And you can see this is what it thinks Centaurus can jam. So I think it's pretty reasonable, like the top of this range, but I'm really not sure that he's going to go ahead and jam these hands here. So if I just close this window, you can have a look at the EVs, and I just don't think he's going to be taking a spot that's this thin in this situation. So he has 20 big blinds. I think his edge is just going to need to be a little bit bigger than some of these hands. As you can see, like ace-8 suited, it's a profitable jam, but it's really not making enough money to justify getting it in here. So I definitely think we need to go ahead and edit this range. But before we do, let's just take a look at what Vokas should be calling off against this somewhat wide range. And you can see that it is just queens plus ace king. So we can be pretty confident that jacks is definitely a fold because we're about to tighten up this this shoving range from Centaurus. Let's take a look at this edited range then, and you can see that it's it's somewhat tight. But if I just drag this window over here, we can just have a look at the EVs of some of the hands I've got rid of. So like jacks really not making that much, ace queen suited really not making that much. I think those would be the two hands that Centaurus could possibly put into his jamming range in this situation. But I think realistically this tight range looks to me to be pretty good. Let's go ahead and run that once more and see what Vokas should be calling with now. So let's take a look at the range then versus this tight 3-bet jamming range from Centaurus. Vokas can only call with kings plus. So that might surprise some of you. That is a really, really tight range in this spot. You can see that jacks is losing a decent amount of money, $1,760, and queens is losing $1,238. So definitely don't want to be getting it in with those hands if we've got these assumptions right, that Tonka's opening around 16% of hands and Centaurus's jamming range is just 2.6%. Okay, so let's take a look at the next spot then, and this is a real good one. So Cool opens to 6 bigs off a 14 big blind stack with pocket kings under the gun, and Centaurus goes ahead and jams with ace king off. And then it folds to Lena in the big blind, and he makes the fold with ace king off himself. So to me it looks like a good fold, but let's have a look in HRC and see just how tight he needs to go here. Okay, so here's the hand in HRC, and you can see that Cool is supposed to be opening for 6 bigs with this kind of range. We'll talk about why he chooses to make it 6 big blinds here in a second, but HRC believes that he can make it 6 bigs with this range. And then if we look at Centaurus's range, it's going to look something like this, so 10s plus ace king. And then it folds to Lena in the big blind, and once again he can only get it in with pocket kings plus. So on the face of it, it looks like a really nitty fold, but actually ICM is dictating that he can actually only call with kings plus. Queens is going to lose us money, ace king off is going to lose us money, jacks is going to lose us money. Let's just see how much money ace king off would lose us here. About 3.5 grand. So yeah, not great to call with ace king off here, and looks to me to be a very, very good fold. Now, I mentioned a few moments ago about why the under the gun player had made it 6 big blinds here, and all will be revealed right now. So if the situation occurred where he makes it 6 bigs, Centaurus jams, and then say Lena jams as well, and we know that Lena should be jamming a really, really tight range, then the under the gun player can actually only call it off with aces. I don't know if this is what happened in game, like was he actually giving himself room to fold? But HRC is suggesting that that could be the case. So it would be pretty sick if he made it 6 bigs here, 2 players got all in, and he ended up folding the kings. But I just thought I would highlight that I think this is a reason why he's made it 6 bigs, not shoved. He's giving himself room to fold. So, you know, maybe that's not the case at all. He just decides to make it 6 bigs there for some other reason. But, you know, a pretty interesting spot and something to think about for sure. Right, the next spot that I want to look at then is what J Peso's range should look like for jamming here. He ends up going ahead and folding the ace-7 off, and I think this is a bit too tight. So let's just have a look in HRC and see what he should be shoving in this spot. So here's the solution then in HRC, and you can see that it's it's all ace-x hands, it's all the suited broadways, going to be all the pocket pairs, and then some king-queen off, king-jack off, queen-jack off, and like 10-9 suited, king-9 suited as well. So I think he can take every single profitable spot in this situation because the collision effect of the 3 players left to act is not actually that high. They have around 20 big blinds each. So the chances of 2 of them getting all in and 1 player busting is a lot lower than, say, if the button had like 6 bigs or the small blind had 8 bigs, something like that. So yeah, I think ace-7 off, probably a little bit too tight to go ahead and fold here. I mean, let's just have a quick look at how much money it is making us. $200, so we're missing out on $200 here if we do go ahead and fold, and I think having only 6 big blinds at this stage of the tournament makes this a pretty good shove. Right, so this is the last hand I want to look at today. Centaurus jams for 5 bigs with ace-10 suited, and it folds to call with the king-jack off, and he makes the call. Now this looks a little bit too loose to me. Then Tonka has a decision for his last 1.4 big blinds, and he makes the fold. So what I want to look at is Cool's call too loose, and how tight does Tonka need to be here for calling off his last 1.4 big blinds? Okay, so Centaurus's range then is going to look something like this: ace-10 off plus, ace-8 suited plus, king-10 suited plus, king-queen off, and 6s plus. Folds to the small blind, cool, and you can see that king jack off is losing $163, so it is going to be a losing call in this situation. And then if we think that the small blind is calling correctly, so only playing 8.3% of hands, then Tonka's range for calling off in this spot is just going to be ace king suited and jacks plus. You can see that ace king off and 10s are very much break even. I think given the situation of him only having 1.4 bigs back, then he probably needs to get it in with the ace king off. But if you just hover over ace king off here, you can see it's only played 58% of the time. So the EV really is going to be very, very neutral. And the same thing is going to go with pocket tens. You can see if you call with tens here, you're making $3.54. Call with ace king off here, you're making $2.71. But if Tonka goes ahead and folds here and Centaurus busts, then he's going to lock up a lot more money than, you know, a couple of dollars. So that's going to wrap things up for this video. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button right now. Before I go, I just want to give a massive shout out to BCP Poker Replays, who record all of the replays from PokerStars and make them available on their channel. So definitely check them out if you want to see more whole cards up final table replays. I'll be back in a few days with a brand new video, but until then guys, take care and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.